morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor of Cash, and we've got a great show for you today. We're loaded with MLB, WNBA. I've got a little PGA, and of course, Buckets is going to be here with some soccer and maybe some home run props. I don't know. Let's check out the recap screen from yesterday. It's another winner. We've had a lot of winners over the last few weeks. We'll take 5 and 3. Shout out to Tom Casale for hitting that Vlad Guerrero prop. Of course, he had a college football play for you later on in the week. And the SportsLine picks, 2-0. Shout out to Micah Roberts and Jeff Hockman, our first NHL play of the year. Hits with the Colorado Avalanche money line. All right, we got an avalanche of personality and picks on this show. So let's bring in the stars of the show, which of course include you, Rick and Mark and Japan and Liddy and Jeff Stenberg and Steve Folkerts. We got Buckets, we got Calvin, and we've got our MLB dream team in Amags and Snyper. Amags, I got to start with you. I wanted to start with Buckets because the Eugenio Suarez thing, but we'll get to that in a second. Your Yankees were down 6-1. And it looked very much over for the season, for that game in particular. All of a sudden, it's 6-3, and then 6-6, and then Jazz goes yard. What was your mental state toggling through yesterday while you were watching that game?
Early, it was not good, Sia. I mean, my mental state was I was looking at DoorDash, trying to just eat my feelings. And then, lo and behold, there's Aaron Judge. A lot of talk about the not coming up big in the playoffs and not hitting with men on base and all this. Well, I think he truthfully, if you're saying that after yesterday, you just are not watching. He dispelled those rumors last night. I mean, not only the home run, but people are going to forget that he went back-to-back doubles with Trent Grisham the inning before he hit the homer to kind of get the scoring going. And it was that double that I honestly looked at the TV and I said, okay, you know what? They may actually score some runs and come back a little bit here. Without that double the inning before, I think it would have been a much different game. So props to Aaron Judge there.
Yeah, he had a nice play in the field as well. When that game, the Yankees were trailing, I think it was 6-3 at that point. That could have been a play he, like any outfielder, could have potentially blundered, and that game could have broken open there. Sniper, your reaction to yesterday, obviously Seattle was a team you were on. You had their over team total, and they took, it was quick work at the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, look, I've talked about this before. I think that the Mariners offense is very underrated because they play their home games in T-Mobile Park, which is like the pitcher version of Coors Field. When you get them away, they can rake, and we saw it last night. We saw them string hits together. We saw them take advantage of Tigers' mishaps in the field. We saw them hit home runs, including a Eugenio Suarez, who my best friend Buckets called as a home run play for the day. And then in the Yankees Blue Jays game, obviously I was wrong yesterday when I said I thought the Yankees were cooked. Complete opposite of that. Give them credit. They were down 6-1 and they could have totally rolled over and they stormed back. And I just have to say, if you remember, I know Sia at least remembers this. I tried to have a talk with everybody in the chat on our live show heading into the playoffs about how be careful about using playoff small sizes and making judgments on guys, specifically Aaron Judge. And I had a bunch of people in the chat telling me that he's a choke artist in the playoffs and he can't hit in the playoffs. And I just don't understand how, instead of being curled up in the fetal position in the batter's box, he was able to turn around 100 in on his hands and still keep it fair and hit a home run. That's weird. If he's such a choke artist, how did he do that? 5 of 6 games so far in the playoffs, he has multiple hits. So it wasn't just last night. 2 hits in 5 of the 6 games. He's hitting 500 with a 727 slug, and he put that ball on a 727 last night.
Speaking of putting the ball on a 727, Buckets, that's referencing a plane. Your Suarez pick was very good, and it hit very quickly. I think people want to know, are you going to have another home run pick tonight?
Ooh, yeah, sure. Why not?
He sounds like he's got a lot of conviction.
Sounds well researched.
I can't wait for that. That'll come later on in the show. Scott Davis is dropping NHL picks in the chat, by the way. He likes the Golden Knights puck line, -1.5 at +125 tonight. Kings on the back-to-back. Calvin Wetzel, we know you liked Phoenix going into this WNBA season. We're going to get your pick in a second. Can I just ask you, before we get into our soccer picks, and we got a lot of MLB picks, we're going to answer a lot of your questions in the chat. Does Phoenix have, forget about the game tonight. If I'm looking at the series price and I'm like, all right, Phoenix maybe can win 2 in a row and then pulls this thing even, do they have a chance to win this series still? It's a 7-game series potentially. Like, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they do. And I love, this is the biggest reason why it's so cool that the WNBA finally made that move from 5-game series to 7-game series, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit with my pick. But unless you're the Yankees, if you're down 2-0 in sports in 5-game series, you feel like you're basically cooked. Now, a 7-game series, you feel like you have a shot. You can come back and win a couple at home, and all of a sudden it's a 3-game series, and they're favored at home. So I love that they made that move, and I think it definitely gives Phoenix a shot to get back in it.
In the chat, I don't know, Calvin, if you know the number, but maybe somebody can research in the chat what the series price is, just for Phoenix to, not the series price, Phoenix to win it all, like what those odds are right now. Calvin, do you happen to know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, on FanDuel, it's plus 300 right now, which honestly, down 2-0, only plus 300. That tells me the books think they have a shot too.
I was just gonna say that's surprising. I would have guessed like plus 350, plus 360, something like that. All right, let's get to some picks for the here and now. Buckets, talk to me about plays on the diamond or the pitch. It's up to you at this point.
We'll start with the pitch. Listen, guys, I told you all yesterday, when we have Women's Champions League, you want to be watching these games and you want to be betting on goals. We had 4 Champions League games yesterday. All 4 of them hit both teams to score. All 4 of them hit over 2.5 goals, and one of them hit over 7.5 goals. So we have 5 more matches today, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing, because why would we not when we have such talented ladies playing on the pitch like we do today? I'm looking at the matchup between St. Polten taking on Atletico Madrid, and we're going with both teams to score at minus 110. I know, Buckets, you always do both. If it keeps cashing, I don't care. I will do just both teams to score for the rest of my life if we keep cashing tickets. St. Polten, when playing in Austria, are one of the most dominant sides we have seen in a long time out of Austria, alongside Austria at Vienna. They have scored 16 goals in their last 8 games, but they're playing an Atletico side that is much better, but is also scoring a ton of goals right now, 17 in their last 6 matches as well. St. Polten at home are going to try to make something happen. They're the heavy underdog. I don't think they're going to win this match, but both teams to score in any Women's Champions League game right now, I just don't think it should be playable. So I've got no problem playing that at minus 110. And for our second match, we have Wolfsburg taking on PSG, also in the Women's Champions League. When you look at the Frauen Bundesliga, the Women's Bundesliga, over the past 10 years, it has been Bayern Munich and it has been Wolfsburg in first and second, kind of switching spots every single year. Be right back.
What? Switching spots every single. What a cliffhanger. All right, I guess we got to move on. He'll finish that pick.
Can't tell if that was a bid or if it was legit.
well, hopefully we'll find out in a couple of minutes. But we got one pick out of it. It was St. Polten versus Atletico, both teams to score minus 110. That second one, which I'm sure he'll finish up on in a second, is Wolfsburg versus PSG, both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals, minus 130. A cliffhanger indeed. All right, let's move along. Mark Thomas, good stuff going on in the chat. Talk to me, Sniper. We've got, this is such a loaded baseball slate. And I don't know, I haven't looked at it. Is this the last time we're going to have potentially 4 games going? And we've got afternoon. This is pretty incredible. And that's why we have both these on the show today. This is it.
This is the last time for 4 games, because the game, even if all 4 of these series went to game 5, which I don't see that as being possible, they would have 2 ALDS game 5s on Friday and 2 on NLDS games on Saturday. So this is it for 4. I'm going to start exactly where I started yesterday. Do we need to go back to buckets here?
I'd like to. I think the chat wants to.
My kitchen was on fire.
No.
I had started cooking eggs before the show and just forgot about it.
Yeah, that's
so Freya was barking and I saw a bunch of smoke in the living room. I got this down, but we're good. Keep going, Sniper.
We need somebody, honestly. Sniper, I don't know who wants to volunteer. Calvin, Amags. We need somebody to volunteer to move in with buckets. I'm being serious. We need buckets around. And the only way we're going to have that is if somebody moves in with Freya and buckets at this point. Does anybody want to pass the chat? If you want to volunteer, please let me know. Everybody's concerned. Said Richard Pierre, Mark Thomas, Stephen Cook. Buckets. You're going to have to choose somebody.
I'll choose someone. Did we get my second play? Did someone carry on that?
Yes.
Well,
we tried to finish it.
We tried to. Do you want to complete the analysis? We got the pick in. Also, do you need to check on anything else that might be on fire?
I will. Yeah, I'll pick someone in the chat. I'll pick a home. Give me 2 minutes. I just wanted to let you know I'm okay. I'll be right back. Keep going, Sniper. I'm so sorry. You're my best friend.
Okay.
You might actually
well,
be
first off, let me respond in the chat. I don't understand how people can get passionate about baseball when it's an unfair game. The same teams every year are going to be in the postseason. The Mariners are up 2-1 in the ALDS right now. They haven't been to the ALCS since 2001. They've never won a World Series, and they have a very good shot to win a World Series. The Brewers have not been to the NLCS since 2018. They've never won the World Series. They haven't been to the World Series since 1982, and they were the number 1 seed in the playoffs this year. So anyway, Mariners, I'm going to go with them here over 3.5 runs. That might sound familiar because we did it yesterday, and I'm running it back. They scored 8 runs. I'm going right back to the well. The Tigers are going to be going out with a bullpen game. Or no, that's the Mariners. Sorry. The Tigers have Casey Mize in this one. 4.04 ERA in the second half. He's not that great. Kind of a run-of-the-mill starter. I talked about already, and I will do it again. The Mariners have a top 3 offense when they are on the road, and we saw it on display last night. We saw Cal Raleigh hit a home run. We saw Eugenio Suarez hit a home run. We saw J.P. Crawford come up with RBIs in 3 different at-bats. This is a very good top-to-bottom offense, and they have a super-duper star in the middle of the order, and Cal Raleigh, again, who hit an opposite field home run last night. He's a switch hitter, so he's essentially matchup-proof. Julio Rodriguez has been hot for the most part, except for last night. Randy Rosarena, great table setter atop the lineup. I really, really like that the Mariners have seen so much of the Tigers' bullpen to this point. They're going to see a lot of that bullpen today because I don't think Casey Mize is going to have a long leash, and I think the Mariners are going to get to him. So over 3.5, there is some juice on that. You can find over 4.5 some places. You could also do an alternate line to get to 4.5 at plus money if you want. I would not be averse to that. Also, I'm going to go to Wrigley Field, and I'm going to go against my Cubs and say the Brewers close this thing out. The Brewers look like men against boys in this series, frankly, as I talked about yesterday to start the show. Better than the Cubs in pretty much every aspect. I know during the regular season, the Cubs were a better defensive team, but we've seen 2 of their best defensive players, Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson, make errors. Meanwhile, the Brewers are making all the plays. The Brewers scored 9 runs in the first game without even hitting a home run. In the second game, they scored 7 runs, all via the home run. They're getting great pitching. Everybody should be rested enough, given that they've had a bunch of days off here. Quinn Priester on the mound, 6-1 with a 3.01 ERA in the second half of the season. I think he's going to be good as long as they leave him, and then they're going to use a lot of bullpen. And if you dig into the Brewers splits, Priester actually was better on the road this season. The Brewers offense was actually better on the road than they were at home this season. And the Cubs offense is, remember, at the start of the year was great. It's not quite the same anymore because at this point, Kyle Tucker is just not a threat. Pete Crow Armstrong's not really a threat. So I think it's all Brewers today. And if I'm wrong, then I'll be happy that the Cubs won. So I guess for me, it's a win-win.
I wonder if Ben has any thoughts on this. Ben, if you do, you're welcome to jump onto the show here. Oh, darn, it's just Buckets. Buckets, is everything okay?
I almost die, and I'm good. We're good over here. Keep continuing. Thank you. This is
Ben doing the work behind the scenes. This is a great, if you're listening to the podcast, go to the YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribed and check out what Ben has created. Buckets, good stuff as usual. Kayla the Rockstar says, what was Buckets pick again? So I don't know if Kayla was referring to your baseball pick, which might not be ready, or your soccer picks. The soccer picks, though, Buckets, I'll do this for you. It was St. Polten versus Atletico, both teams to score, and Wolfsburg versus PSG, both teams to score, plus over 2.5 goals. Was there anything you needed to add to that Wolfsburg play, PSG?
Yeah, but not to Wolfsburg. I've got my home run play, but that's not involving Wolfsburg.
All right, we'll get to that. Speaking of cliffhangers, let's get to that in a little bit. We got to get to WNBA, more baseball. I've got a golf pick for tonight. This thing's over in Japan, so it actually starts tonight. But I do want to tell you about a couple of BetMGM promos that you're going to want to take advantage of today. BetMGM players will receive a WNBA SGP boost. Just make a WNBA SGP, and if it hits, you will receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. BetMGM players will also receive an MLB postseason odds boost. If you haven't used the boost already, just make an MLB postseason wager, and if you win your bet that was made with the boost, you will receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars only at BetMGM. We've got a sports line pick, and it's the Mariners, it's the Tigers, over 8.5. That one is courtesy of Micah Roberts, who hit his play yesterday as well, I believe. We got more baseball, we got some golf, and we got more WNBA. Calvin's next right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Put your questions in the chat. Let's go to Calvin. Calvin, let's go to your WNBA pick. I have a feeling you're wearing the orange. I have a feeling it's Phoenix related. I'm just not sure how you're betting Phoenix.
Yeah, I've been on Phoenix the whole series. In game 1, I was on them on this show. They cashed barely. In game 2, they didn't cover, but they shot 17% from 3. So I'm looking for a bounce back. I don't think they can shoot that poorly again, especially at home. I'm sticking with them in the first half. Phoenix -2.5 in the first half at -115. If you follow the NBA at all, you know that these teams in 7-game series, when they're down 2-0 and they come home, they come out swinging in the first quarter, first half. They usually cover the first half, even if they don't win the full game. And I'm not going to pretend to know 100% for sure, obviously, if this trend is going to carry over into the W, because like I said, this is the first ever 7-game series in the WNBA. So we don't have any data on how teams play in 7-game series, but because I like the Mercury anyway, and this has worked so well in the NBA, I'm going to trust it enough to bet on it here. I like the Mercury full game too, but I like the first half even more at -2.5. Again, they're not going to shoot 17% from 3 again, like they did in game 2. In game 1, it was basically a coin flip. They were playing even the whole way and just lost at the end on a last-second shot that didn't go in on the road at Vegas. Now they're at home, and all things considered, like, they're in a really good spot for a team that's down 0-2, I think, with how they've played. You can go first quarter if you want. They've started out strong in both these games. They won the first quarter of that last game, even though they lost the game by 13. They've really been starting strong all playoffs, coming out hot. So I think however you want to play them, especially early in the game, first quarter or first half, is the move here. But my official play, the play I like most, is first half -2.5 for Phoenix tonight.
All right. I noticed the first quarter play is -2. Now, we did have the SGP promo courtesy of BetMGM. Is there a play, if somebody wanted to put in some like a player prop, or these aren't official asks, by the way, but is there somebody that you think Phoenix or even the Aces are going to be leaning on today?
Yeah, well, I think you could go a few different ways. If you want to play it a little bit safe, you could go with the Alyssa Thomas 10+ points that I keep talking about on this show, because she has a safe floor. She's hit this in every game in the playoffs. Or if you want to, get it to be a little bit more of a long shot, I would go either Kalia Copper or Satu Sabali 20+ points. One or the other has hit 20+ in the last 7 games. It's usually Alyssa Thomas is doing some scoring in addition to one of those two, whoever's hot. And both of those are usually like +180, +200. So you could even just hit them both and hope that you get one of them. But I know you can only use the boost on one of them. But yeah, I would go with the ceiling on those 2 players and more of like the floor on Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, and I think you can, if you wanted to play it even safer, you could, for an SGP, you could look at the alt lines as well and just kind of scale it down a little bit on some of those players that Calvin mentioned. All right, let's pivot from WNBA back to Major League Baseball. Amags, we got to get a pick from you. What do you have today?
Yeah, and just wanted to say thank you, Jeff, for that little nice sentiment. They said he hopes it's raining wherever I am. Well, to your point, yes, it is raining and a little bit more chilly in New York now. And we kind of see that as a little bit of a trend across some of these games where, in Detroit, in New York, you've got, and even in Chicago, there's a little bit more wind there than the other spots, but you've got those lower temperatures now, right? This is October baseball, similar to early in the year when maybe we see some of the scoring a little bit more depressed. So just wanted to at least put that out there as some of the weather is cooling down. And yes, it is raining where I'm at, but I've got 2 plays for you here tonight. We're going with the Dodgers -1 on the spread. If you can get the -1 at, a lot of the big major sports books have -1 now, but this kind of a split bet. You're splitting your money between the -1.5 and the money line. Now, the money line almost -180. I don't mind taking that, especially if you want to try to put a little parlay together, maybe a player prop or 2 on either Yamamoto or Ohtani or Betts. And then just with that money line, I kind of like that. We also saw one in the chat already. I forget who it was, but somebody mentioned the team total for the Dodgers over 3.5, a bit of a lower level. And then the money line as well was right there, I think around even money. I don't mind doing something like that, but just a straight -1 bet here, kind of protecting a little bit to give us that push if they do only win by 1 run. And we saw the Dodgers gut out a few close wins there in Philly. But the piece that I want to focus in on here, and you're seeing it in 2 other series, or you already saw it, but the Yankees lost 2 on the road, and then they came home. You had the Cubs there lost 2 on the road and now came home. I think it's a bit easier to win those games for those teams that have dropped, back-to-back games, but you're coming home now, you get your home fans. It's a little bit different, a little bit easier, as we saw the Yankees kind of rally behind some of their fans. Once they started scoring, it was a bit easier. But for the Phillies, you dropped 2 games in a row at home, and now you've got to go on the road to a tough environment here. I think that the Dodgers just are kind of playing loose. They're playing great, and now you get to play that way even more so when you get back home in your friendly confines. And not to mention, you throw a pitcher on the mound who had an ERA at 0.27 in September. Yamamoto has only given up a couple of runs in his last 33 plus innings. I mean, he has been stellar. And when you look at kind of the matchup here with Aaron Nola, I just don't trust him to keep the Dodgers off the board. At the end of the day, when things come down to it in October, I generally want to side with familiarity. And when you look at this Dodgers lineup against Nola or Ranger Suarez or whomever else they're going to bring in, they have a bunch of at-bats and plate appearances and familiarity. I mean, 5 or 6 of these guys in this projected lineup are going to have double-digit at-bats against Nola. So I think that comparatively to a Phillies lineup who is not going to have a single batter who's had double-digit at-bats against Yamamoto, and some of them only 2 and 3 at-bats in their career seeing him. You're going to be, for 2 or 3 innings, maybe even 4, trying to, half the game, figure out what Yamamoto even looks like. Whereas on the other side, you have a loose offense that has seen the pitcher, and I think, being at home is big for them. So I think the Dodgers wrap it up here. Just tough to lose 2 games in your home park and then go on the road and do something. I just don't see it for the Phillies. Secondly, kind of just going to go back to a play that we went with yesterday. And we had a lot of walk bets in the Yankee game, but we saw Vlad Guerrero demolish a baseball early in that game and really almost send the Yankees packing. I think as we saw Aaron Boone do later in the game last night and just putting Vlad Guerrero Jr. on first, I think we see that at some point here again in this game. And as we talked about, it must have been 10 times in the Discord yesterday. When you bet the live at bat or live plate appearance markets for a walk, it's generally going to void, unless a couple of books out there are not voiding them, but it's generally going to void the bet, and that you're not going to be given any win there for that at bat because technically no pitches were thrown for the intentional walk. Whereas in a full game bet on walks, you are going to benefit from the intentional walks because they settle by the box score. And in the box score, it's still a base on balls. So I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. is put on base at some point here tonight in a close game. And, at this price, I'm just going to keep betting his walk. Now, I would have gone back to Judge, but it's -180. We got -125 yesterday, -180 for a walk. I think John Snyder probably does the same thing. So maybe a little interest in Judge for 2 walks, but I'm not going to bet into the -180 for a single walk. I'll go with Vladdy instead for that angle.
All right. Vlad Jr., 1+ walk at +126. Bucket, Snyper, and Amags. Buckle up because you're going to have to give out your home run picks in a second, if you have one. I mean, I know the weather is, I saw Sniper, you were talking about wind blowing in and all that, but if you have a favorite home run, people don't have to bet these if they don't want to. We're going to get to that in 1 second, but I do want to give out my golf pick. It's a 3-ball. This tournament, the Baker Classic, it's over in Japan. It used to be the Zozo. It starts tonight. I think it starts at 7:45. So if you want to get your outrights, your first round leaders in, and your 3-ball matchups, you're going to want to do that basically before 7 o'clock tonight, just to play it safe. I'm going to go with Mac Meisner. If you watched the early wedge yesterday, it was just me and Taft and a little bit of Josh Mullenix as well. We talked about a lot of players. I can give you my outrights and my first round leaders later on in the show. But the long and short of it is I like how Mac Meisner has been playing. It's kind of a short sample size, but over the last 4 or 5 tournaments, he's really seems to have found something with a T14, 47th T14, and a second place over his last 4 tournaments. And by the way, the 5 tournaments prior to that were missed cuts for Mac Meisner. So I'm taking him in a 3-ball. I like what he's been doing across the bag on approach with the off the tee play and with the short game. Meisner's +140 in a 3-ball over Kevin Roy and Kawamoto. So Kawamoto, I don't think is going to factor in too much. He's not a terrible golfer. He's an Asian tour guy, but I don't think he's the caliber, even though he's from Japan and might be kind of more familiar with this particular course. I don't think he's the caliber of Kevin Roy and Mac Meisner. So I see this as more of a 2-ball. And Kevin Roy has been playing okay. He's a guy I like, but I don't know that I like him on this course. I like what Mac Meisner does, again, across the bag with the long and short game. And I love how he's been coming on, specifically on approach. So I like the plus 140 number. If you have this at plus 130, I'd play it there as well. It is a 3-ball and it is a new course, so I would exercise some caution. I would maybe lower the unit size just a little bit on this particular 3-ball because A, it's a 3-ball and I tend to like matchups. And B, I got to admit, this is a new course. There are a couple of unknowns here. But again, Mac Meisner over Roy and Kawamoto is my 3-ball play for round 1. Again, this thing starts tonight. All right, home run plays. Sniper, I start with you.
I'm going to go with Cody Bellinger. I wanted to pick somebody in that game, and a left-hander in Yankee Stadium, like we saw Jazz go deep last night. I know it got totally overshadowed by Judge. I feel like Judge as well, but I didn't look at the lines, and I just feel like that one's going to be way too short, and that would be kind of way too easy. So I'll go with Cody Bellinger.
Amags?
I like that pick specifically because Bellinger is actually better against lefties. You're probably going to see Eric Lauer for a period of time in this game. And when you try to have those matchups, because you're going to get a bullpen game from the Toronto side, those matchups tend to kind of hurt left-handed batters, except, again, Bellinger is better against lefties. So we'll see what happens with that. I like that Sniper pick there. Two things. Ben Rice, I think the number on him is actually pretty good, where you should probably want to bet the home run. Again, maybe not the best option from the left side there going up against a lefty, but I do like him against Varland. But two things here. One, if you're not betting Aaron Judge with like those unlimited home run boosts that some of the books are giving you, I think you should be doing that. But it's the live bet. So once the game starts, bet it right then if you want to bet a home run. But here's my pick. Giancarlo Stanton, the right-handed batter that has not done much in terms of home runs here in this series. We saw him hit that double off the wall and nearly get thrown out at first, right? Or second, I'm sorry. But regardless, I think when it's a big spot, this guy has always come through, and I think tonight it's his spot. So give me Giancarlo Stanton.
Buckets, did they steal your pick?
No, they didn't. Surprisingly, because those are two really, really good picks.
I would hope for a mispronunciation here. So
definitely two guys you've heard of, I'm sure, were the two
guys I've heard of. I'm looking at, and I don't know the last name. It's Anthony Volpe or Volpe. I don't know which one. Volpe?
Yeah.
Anthony Volpe at plus 900 is going to be my go the yard pick. See ya.
When Buckets can't pronounce the name, it's pretty much a lock to go the yard. Plus 900.
Allegedly, he's had 8 strikeouts in his last 12 at-bats against the Blue Jays, so it sounds to me like he's due, just the classic reasoning.
I don't know if that'd be an allegation as much as just a fact. Do we have to check on that?
No, he has, but I don't know. It feels right.
Volpe plus 900. There's a reason he's plus 900. Any commentary there, Sniper, on Anthony Volpe?
Yeah, I don't love it, but big odds there, and he's hit some big postseason home runs before. That we saw a grand slam in the World Series last year, so it's possible.
Hey, Mags,
I love it for one reason, because Buckets picked it. That's why I love it.
I'm on board with that.
Right? It's like he picks it, and then you're like, oh, I don't know about that one. And then first or second at bat, the guy's just like hitting the ball, 500 feet. So I think that's why.
If you do home run on his first plate appearance, it's plus 1,500. So just throwing that out there as well.
Hey, really quick at least on that note, if I could hop in, I was looking at Mookie Betts to hit a single in his first at bat. He's actually got a bunch of singles against Aaron Nola. I just think, for a guy that had one hit in the series so far, which was a single, kind of near the top of that order, I wouldn't be surprised he just chases an early pitch and just puts one, into the outfield through the infield there. So that's one I was looking at for first at bat. But I do like Buckets' approach there. If you're going to watch the Yankee game, just bet Anthony Volpe every time he comes up to hit a home run. You get way better odds.
So, Amags, there's a few questions in the chat. We've got WNBA questions, soccer questions, and baseball questions, and that's how we'll close out the show. CLE fan says, do we like, because you mentioned Mookie Betts. Do we like Dodgers Phillies? Yes, run first inning. Of course, Yurfie minus 110, and he can boost it to plus 120. Any thoughts there, though?
A lot of great hitters in that first inning, right? You're going to get a ton of great hitters in that first inning against both pitchers. Maybe if you want to try to isolate the Dodgers in that side of the first inning, to score a run, you get better odds there. So I like that one.
And also somebody asked any Nerfies, no run first innings for the whole day. And my immediate gut reaction was absolutely not. I could see a run in the first inning in every single game here. If you look at some of these offenses, some of the matchups, I would be surprised if we didn't see several first inning runs today. And on that note, something that nobody asked about is I looked at Aaron Nola outs recorded last night, and it was 8.5. I just don't think the Phillies are going to go down with Aaron Nola torching their season here. I kind of feel like it's a Trojan horse, and Ranger Suarez is going to piggyback him and throw most of the bulk. The under 8.5 outs was plus money. You might take a look at that. I'm just not sure he's definitely going to finish 3 innings.
Okay. Dubby Main, the G says, first time here. Good morning, everyone. Dubby, hopefully you're still in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed to the SportsLine YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, we have a podcast on Spotify and Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. So I guess subscribe to that as well, so that if you missed this live show, you can always catch it. Let's go to the WNBA. Calvin, I believe this is Jackie Young. Japan says Jackie Young under 17.5 points is minus 130. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, she's over in 7 of 10 playoff games, and one of those 3 unders was a blowout where she didn't play at the end. So honestly, I would be pretty scared fading her right now. I would lean over if anything, but again, I think the Mercury are going to play well today, and so I would probably just stay off that one.
TJ Harrop Bucket says Egypt first half team total over 1.5 and or Salah over 1.5 goals, both around even money.
I really like this in the World Cup qualifiers there for Africa. This is kind of tough because Egypt is so far ahead and they're so much better than, I think it's pronounced Djibouti, that they don't really need to try. It's the kind of game where if it's 0-0 in the 80th minute, Egypt's still not worried because they just have so much talent. I could see them blowing this one up early, though, just so they can sit back and rest. So I like the first half team total there.
All right, let's see. Dodgers, Phillies over 8, minus 105, says Ed Anarumo. Anybody have comment? Did we already address this? Snipe? Oh, Amags, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think if you're going to get 8 there, right, you need the game to end at 7 or less to lose. And even in, 5-3 game, you'll be all right with a push. So I don't dislike that one. I will say guys like Freddie Freeman and Ohtani from the left side are really interesting to me. You're going to get at least that early at bat against Nola. So I do like that. And to the point about Ranger Suarez, that he probably does piggyback here, but he helped me win my fantasy league by just having an absolutely terrible start towards the end of the season there. So I know the Dodgers have had their issues against lefties, but I wouldn't be surprised if, Nola gives up a couple of runs. They kind of start to go to Ranger and then it blows up from there. So that would be the game I'd look for run-wise, just better weather, warmer temperatures, that kind of thing.
And Snyper, Brewers team total over 3.5 is plus 120, says Jason Reyes. Any thoughts on that number?
Probably pretty good. Jameson Taillon's been really, really good lately, but I don't think that the Cubs are going to let him go much deeper here, especially in an elimination game. And the Cubs have 5 relievers who have been really good, but we just saw Daniel Palencia give up the 30-run bomb. I still, when it's Drew Pomeranz and Caleb Thielbar, you feel like at least one of them will have a meltdown again. So, yeah, I like that one.
Hey, Max, go ahead.
I hate to kind of keep jumping in on some of the MLB stuff here, but it is my last chance. But one thing I noticed, and it's kind of something that you guys haven't really asked about, but 2 things here. One, Quinn Priester grew up a Cubs fan, thought that was really cool. It's like a whole big homecoming type thing for him. So I think that's kind of interesting. And 2, Jameson Taillon has actually had a couple of starts where he was okay against Milwaukee this year, actually solid starts. And then one where it was just atrocious. And when you look at the most recent start, it was, I think, in July. He had a great start, but Jackson Chourio wasn't in the lineup. He was injured at that point. And then the start that he was atrocious in, Chourio was in there with 2 hits and 2 runs. So back in the lineup here, we already had somebody talk about the hits, runs, and RBIs on Chourio tonight. I think that's a pretty good play to take the over. And I think he might be the catalyst for the Brewers offense here.
All right. I think everybody wants to know what Katie Taylor is on today. She says, I'm keeping it basic. I'm running Vlad back, and I like Judge to keep it going, taking both their hits, runs, RBIs at 1.5 in a parlay, also sprinkling them at 2.5 solos. So, I mean, I think we've talked about both of those guys. We don't mind either of those. I got the last question I'm going to get to here is Kalo to Rockstar. Says, yo, Buckets, is it safe to parlay your soccer picks today?
I don't
Buckets,
think.
go ahead.
No, you go. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's never safe to parlay. Let's just stop right there. There's no way you can say yes to that question, but Buckets, go ahead.
Well, good thing you interrupted because I was 100% going to say, no, there's never such thing as a safe parlay. I would recommend if you want to parlay my plays together, just drop the unit size on them. I mean, don't be throwing big money around on a bunch of different things. This is still Champions League. Crazy stuff can happen and does happen. We saw Paris FC yesterday. They were minus 800 favorites, and they didn't win the game against Leuven. So it can be weird sometime. Not safe, but definitely worth a sprinkle.
I mean, I'll definitely be doing like SGPs in football and stuff, but they're all sprinkle plays, and I would never, ever accuse my parlays of being safe. Volpe odds just dropped, says Joseph.
Buckets, moving the lines.
I don't know if that's true
not
or
surprised.
but it would be so amazing if it is actually true. I did mention I was going to tell you who my outrights and first round leaders. They happen to be the same. It's a 2.5 hour window. It's only a 78 person field. So I don't know that there's going to be a morning advantage to the afternoon because they're going out kind of nearly the same time. My first round leaders and my outrights are Kurt Kitayama and Alex Norn. And the kind of longer shots are Mac Meisner and who was the other one? William Mao, who we hit as an outright at the ISCO at 70-1. So those are my 4 outrights. The fear of missing out outright that I kind of want to have on my card, but I don't right now is Max Home around 35 or 40-1. All right. We went, I said yesterday on the show that we weren't going to go long because we were 37 minutes. And we're 37 minutes now. But this is what happens. We have a huge baseball slate, and we have Amags and Snyper here, which is not a normal thing. We got Calvin to talk WNBA, Buckets to burn his kitchen down. There's just too much going on right now. So here we are. And I even had some golf plays. We'll have some NFL plays tomorrow because Thursday night football is tomorrow. So we'll have kind of all of our early bets, the early edge across all the sports landscape. But of course, we're going to be leaning hard into Thursday night football. I already have some props I'm looking at as deep as Monday night football and Sunday. So look out for that at SportsLine. I'll bring one probably to the show tomorrow as well. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get everybody out of here. I've got a 3-ball again. This golf tournament starts tonight over in Japan. I've got Meisner plus 140 over Kevin Roy and Kawamoto. Mariners team total over 3.5. Sniper's going right back to that at minus 140. And he also likes the Brewers money line at plus 105. He likes that as a bet. He doesn't like that as a fan. Buckets, St. Polten versus Atletico, both teams to score minus 110. And Wolfsburg versus PSG, both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals at minus 130. Amags, Dodgers minus 1 at minus 130. And Vlad Jr., 1+ walk at plus 126. You're going to find Amags later on in the SportsLine Discord, along with Katie Taylor and so many of you that are in the chat right now. So some of these live plays that Amags is talking about, there's a good chance you'll see him typing away in that SportsLine Discord, which of course is free to SportsLine members in there. Mercury first half minus 2.5 at minus 115. That play from Calvin Wetzel. And then of course, we got our SportsLine pick. Mariners, Tigers over 8.5 at minus 103. That one courtesy of Micah Roberts. I think that's going to do it. We had plenty more picks on this show, but you had to watch the whole show to get them. A big thank you to Matt, to Amags, to Calvin, to Bucks, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Ben, do you still have that image of Buckets burning things down? I think this is a good place to close the show. This is fine. I want to go back and watch that moment, Buckets. I am glad everything is fine. We weren't sure whether to laugh when you left or we didn't know what was going on. So we tempered our emotions there. But big thank you to John, Brad Morris, CLE fan, Amags still typing away in the chat. Thomas is in here. Jen is in here. Samuel Gallegos, Ian Lights Out. Thanks, everybody, for being in here. We'll see you tomorrow on the Early Edge. And, of course, we've got programming on CBS Sports Network later today, I believe at 1 o'clock. That's the NFL show, right, Ben? I think that's the case. So stay tuned for that on CBS Sports Network. See you next time on the Early Edge. We rest our case.